Hi there, and welcome to this lesson on dynamic workflows in motion design. And I'm going to talk to you in this video about working between Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, and Illustrator. These four programs are all made to dynamically work between one another so that our workflow as motion designers is very seamless. And so I'm going to show you how we do that. So I'm going to start here in Premiere Pro. And for all intents and purposes, let's just say this is our edit. It's only two clips for this example. But in this first clip, we have a close-up of the motorcycle driving, and he's driving along. And then we cut to this wide shot, and he's driving off into the distance. And for this shot, we want to show the logo, the motorcycle logo, like for the product that we're trying to sell for this edit. Okay. So how do we go about doing that? We also need to change the color of this shot. We could, mess with the color here inside of Premiere Pro. We could bring in a Photoshop layer, bring in the vector layer and try and position everything, nicely, but it's a lot easier to do this inside of After Effects. So we need to move this clip into After Effects. Well, how do we do that? It's really simple. All we have to do is right click on the clip, go to replace with After Effects composition, click, and then Premiere Pro says, okay, you're going to use an After Effects project. What's the project called and where should we save it? So I'm going to call it Motorcycle Logo Project, and I am going to save it inside my motorcycle folder. Click Save. And then in After Effects, it has brought in the clip. The footage is here inside of After Effects. It's the right length. Everything's great. The composition's set up. It's a 1920 by 1080 comp. It's 23976, 10 seconds and 4 frames long. And you'll see here the composition is even named Premiere to After Effects Linked Comp 03. Perfect. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to change the color of this footage. So I'm just going to go into Effect, Color Correction, Curves. Curves is a very powerful plugin, has a lot of potential in terms of coloring, messing with brightness and contrast, things like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just click twice on this line, and I'm going to create a very basic S curve. And this S curve just creates contrast in this shot. So this is with curves, this is without. So you can see there's more contrast in the shot. Next, I'm going to go into the blue channel, and I'm going to increase the blue here just a little bit. And it's looking a little purple there. So we'll go into the red channel and we'll bring down the reds. So we have a nice green shot. So that's looking pretty nice. This is with curves and without. So you can see quite a difference here. So now if I go to File, Save, and I jump over to Premiere Pro, you're going to see the clip is going to update itself in terms of color. And there you go. Updated colored shot inside of Premiere Pro. Also, you'll notice here that this is no longer footage. This is Premiere to AE linked comp 03.aep. This is the After Effects project file in my timeline in Premiere Pro. Pretty cool. Back in After Effects. Now I want to bring this logo in and kind of place it in the shot and do a few things to it. So let's double click and import our Photoshop logo file. And here it is. I'm going to import it as a composition, retain layer size. I'm going to merge layer styles into the footage. Click OK. And I'm just going to bring this logo right down on top of my footage here. And there we go. Looks amazing, but not really. Everything is white. So I'm going to double click, go into this pre-comp now, and I can see here there's a background layer. So I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to turn on the transparency grid, and there's our logo. So if I jump back in to the linked comp, you can see our logo is sitting nicely over the footage. So the next thing I want to do is, let's say the client came to me and said, hey, by the way, this says 1962. We goofed up and it needs to say 1963. Well, it's really easy to change that. All I have to do is use a dynamic workflow between After Effects and Photoshop. How do I do that? Well, I go to my layer I need to update, And it looks like 62 is right there. All I have to do now is go to Edit, Edit Original, and it's going to open up my Photoshop layer inside of Photoshop. Really easy, right? So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to say, okay, this needs to change from 62. So I'm going to the date. Here's 62. Just going to double click. I'm going to say it needs to be 65. And I'm going to go to File, Save. And just like that, when I jump back into After Effects now, it's going to update to 1965. Pretty cool stuff. I could also go into my Photoshop layer. I could change the other type. I could change colors, anything like that. It's very easy to do between After Effects and Photoshop. Also, bringing in all these pieces as separate layers, it's very easy for me to animate these layers and make them do their thing as a logo animation. So next I want to bring in something. Let's say the client says, hey, we need a skull to go right here in the middle of the engine. The designer left it off of the Photoshop file, but they gave you an Adobe Illustrator file. No problem. I'll show you how we do that. I'm going to double click and import the skull. And you can see here, it's a AI Adobe Illustrator file. I'm going to bring it down into my timeline here. And there it is. So immediately I can tell that it's not looking right. It's, should be a black and white skull, in my opinion, to match the rest of the design a little bit better. So what I'm doing is I'm scaling down, I'm repositioning, getting it kind of into place here. Maybe scale it up to 40, maybe 41. There it is. And now I just need to make it, I'm going to nudge it here with my key just to the left a little bit. Now, all I have to do is the same process I did in Photoshop. I can go up to Edit, Edit Original, and it has opened up the skull inside of Illustrator. So all I have to do now is select the color, and I can see here the fill is this color. I want it to be white. There it is, it's white. I'm going to go to File, Save, and then back in After Effects, it's updated to a white skull. Perfect. So now I've got my logo over my footage. So now I want to bring this skull into this motorcycle layer because I want to create a transparency where the logo fades in over the footage. And I don't want to add two different transparency fades here. So how do I do that? Well, it's really easy. I could just take this skull. I could hit Command X, double click my pre-comp, go in here and paste. And there it is. It's inside my pre-comp now. And now all I have to do is hit T for transparency, set a keyframe, move it further ahead in the timeline, and then set another keyframe for 0. And as I preview this, you're going to see our logo fades in very nicely. So now if I go to File, Save, jump back into Premiere Pro, you can see here is our footage with the logo, right? And it's even got the fade. So I'll play through this. And look at that. We've got our logo. It could be a lot more complex. We could make the logo, move and do things, and maybe the type writes on. That's what I would do if I was animating this. But that is how you work with dynamic workflows between Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, and Illustrator.